thanks for tuning into our podcast, Getting Down to Business. I'm Jill Brown, academic and career advisor with the Moomin College of Business.
And I'm Ashley Curtis, assistant program director for the Bishop Center for Ethical Leadership. One of our new segments is talking about the Bulls Buzz. So for today, I'm going to kick us off. Very excited. On February 28th, we have the Synapse Summit. So be sure to check that out. Our FinTech guests here today will be there, as well as some of our other USF colleagues.
I think we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the room and our new set. Bam. Okay, I'm excited. But also my buzz around campus is that we just had a pitch practice and feedback from students. They just weren't expecting the intimacy, number one, the feedback, but also the opportunity to try and mess up and realize it's okay. Nobody knows what you're going to say, really what goes into making an elevator pitch. And so be on the lookout for that again, because we will do it again. And that was in preparation for the speed networking we have February 22nd. So we want to see you there. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest on today's set, Michael Weimer with the Tiedemann School of Business and Finance FinTech Center.
Thank you, Jill and Ashley. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm the inaugural director of the FinTech Center here at the Moomin College of Business. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you and our guests, or our hosts today, talk about FinTech, the future of FinTech, and what it means to be in the FinTech space as a student and a professional today. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to go deep into FinTech, let me tell you. All right. Well, before we dive into FinTech, we also have our fun game that was a great hit last time. And due to the numbers, we'll do one-on-one. So I'm going to ask you each, and you have 5 seconds. Okay. Who wants to start?
Let our guests.
All right. You have 5 seconds to name 3 cheeses. Go.
Brie, Limburger, and Swiss.
Oh, that was too easy. Okay. Ashley, I need to find you a harder.
Oh.
I'll keep it easy. Okay. All right. For real. All right. 5 seconds to name 3 breakfast foods.
Eggs, sausage, and pancakes. Waking my brain up.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. Yeah. All right. Let's just throw this to the ground. Okay. Great.
All right. So, Michael, thanks for playing our 5-second game. Now we're going to get down to business. So the question on everybody's mind, what is FinTech?
So actually, that's a really, really good question. I think to start, any interview, but in FinTech, the FinTech space, it's not clear to everyone what FinTech really is. So I'm glad you started with that. FinTech, if you think about the term FinTech, it's the conjoining of 2 terms, finance, fin, and technology, tech, FinTech. And that's the way that I begin to think about this space and the way I define it. FinTech, from my perspective, is really the conjoining or the joining of 2 large universal spaces, that of finance, which is massive, it's expansive, it's diverse, and technology, which is very dynamic, it's entrepreneurial, it's disruptive. When you bring those 2 spaces together, finance and technology, great things happen. But that's where FinTech rests. And I want to also stress that FinTech is a very broad expanse. So when you ask a professional, you ask her, what do you think of FinTech? And she works in FinTech. She might tell you, well, this is FinTech to me at my firm and what I do. Maybe it's programming. Maybe it's something very technical. Maybe it's not. In my opinion, FinTech is really impacting every industry. Every company right now is working with FinTech, whether they know it or not. Every consumer is being engaged by FinTech, whether you know it or not. So it's an exciting place to be as a student and as a professional. A great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that really leads nicely into the next question, which I was doing some reading and trying to understand, because really it is this word combination. And what does it really mean? It's got 2 broad industries combining. It said, the article online mentioned that the percentage of U.S. consumers using tech to manage their finances jumped from 58% in 2020 to 80% in 2022. Meaning that more people now use FinTech products than social media, which I know, right?
Amazing.
So in a sense, that's where we're going is, what are some ways that we do use FinTech in our daily lives, whether we know it or not?
Great. So FinTech, what's interesting about FinTech is that it operates sometimes very quietly in the background. My analogy is like your internet service provider or your cable provider. You have a connection, you pay that bill every month, but there are constant innovations that are happening within that technology, how you get your programs, how you download your favorite programs. So FinTech operates quietly in the background. It's constantly operating, whether it's on your mobile phone, your smartphone, on the computer, or the organizations you deal with. Really, FinTech, it's the centerpiece of business today. And you think about something like how FinTech can transform something as simple as a payment process. That means a great deal for a business, but also means a great deal to the consumer. So it comes down to efficiency. It comes down to convenience and impact for the consumer and the organization. Technology is in our lives now, whether we want it to be or not. It is, and I think that what it means for us is a more efficient life, and the way we do perform any kind of transaction, commerce, the way we interact online. It is going to be touched by or driven by FinTech.
Awesome. And then as a follow-up, what are some common misconceptions?
So there's actually a very interesting misconception. That's a great question, Jill. That FinTech is this new thing, this new trend that suddenly emerged, and we're all talking about it. FinTech goes back many, many decades. In fact, if you talk to academics, our fantastic faculty, there's some debate. Was it 1959 with the introduction of the credit card? We all have credit cards today. It's almost passé. Or was it the 1870s and the transatlantic cable? So there's a lot of debate about when FinTech started. The point is that it started many, many decades ago. The credit card is 65 years old. ATMs are about 50 some years old. But we're getting into a space now where FinTech is being discussed in a very modern context. Why? Because of the power of the technology, the innovation behind the technologies, and how finance is transforming around technology.
Yeah, and I feel like there's no more, you don't even have to hardly go to an ATM these days, right? To use your credit card, you don't need a physical card anymore. There's so many nuances that have evolved from it, but okay.
Yeah. So Michael, we're talking about FinTech with companies, but what does FinTech mean for our USF students, and how can they get involved with FinTech?
It's a great question, Ashley. So FinTech, what I tell everyone, regardless of their major or their interests, they could be a business student, engineering, history, pre-med. FinTech is something that you need to understand and learn. It is part of our lives, and it's at this point in time, there's been a permanent shift. It is here to stay, so we have to learn about FinTech. For MUMA students, there are many opportunities to be involved. I think I'll talk a little bit about the certificate program that we're going to be launching very soon. That is, it's a 7-module primer, if you will, or a base foundation course on FinTech, and it's designed to give any learner, regardless of their knowledge of FinTech, a grounding in the key technologies that are embedded in FinTech in non-technical ways. So it's really for anybody to understand what the technologies are, but also the industries that are being transformed by FinTech. So MUMA College students or anyone can take this course. It'll be released very, very soon. We're also going to be introducing, this might be new news, but an MS in FinTech. And this is a really wonderful opportunity for us to showcase the talents of our faculty and the way that the MUMA College of Business uniquely engages with the business community to create learning opportunities for our students. So we've got new degree programs and new certificate programs. We also have an accelerator program. It's a partnership with the Tampa Bay Wave, where we bring budding FinTech firms in-house so that students, faculty, and community leaders can see how this process takes place. It's a great learning opportunity. So there are many opportunities, current and upcoming, for MUMA College students to be involved in learning more about FinTech.
Wonderful. And when do we expect just a general timeline of when students can be on the lookout for the introduction of these certificate? Are we talking next fall? So
the certificate is actually going to be released very soon, spring of this year, so spring of 24.
Okay.
The MS in FinTech, and that's going to be a wonderful program. I'm biased, but it really is going to be a wonderful program in the fall of 25. And then an undergraduate major in FinTech in the fall of 26. We currently have concentrations in these areas, so students can get involved right now. I recommend highly engaging with our amazing FinTech faculty, engaging with Cassie and myself at the FinTech Center, learn more about these opportunities, but we're just getting started.
Wonderful. Thanks, Michael.
Ooh, okay. So with that in mind, what's to come, what's coming our way? I'm just trying to think about for students, how can they take advantage of FinTech in their career journey as well as, in their job hunt?
That's a great question, Jill. So I think FinTech, again, it's something that is here to stay. And the caveat that I propose is that for someone not to learn about FinTech is a mistake. It's a missed opportunity. So right now at Muma College of Business, where we're creating a center of study that's going to show excellence in FinTech teaching, research, innovation, and engagement, students should take advantage of these opportunities. Mm-hmm. For anyone, regardless of, you think about FinTech, people think sometimes it's going to be a very techie career, programming, and it might involve those deep technological dimensions. But in most cases, I believe that FinTech, for most people involved, having to understand generally what FinTech is, what FinTech's capabilities are, and how to manage, for example, with FinTech or lead in an organization that embraces FinTech. So it's something that a person needs to understand. Again, I want to stress that there is a range of opportunity, whether a person is coming at this from more of a liberal arts perspective or a true engineering perspective or a core finance perspective. There are degrees of specialization from a tech perspective. So don't let that scare anybody away. Much of FinTech is about strategy, about operations, and some of the areas that get away from the technological specialization that FinTech is so known for.
And I guess that's what I wanted to kind of key in on that. You bring up a great point. So in a sense, a lot of times with the podcast, we're trying to talk about, we want to bring to light skills that students can build or gain from certain programs or activities that we have going on or with our guests, whatever that might be. And so skills, you mentioned the strategy. So other things that students, can gain from immersing themselves in the FinTech industry.
Great question. So I think, starting out, first of all, understanding, what are the basics? So one of the driving pedagogical ideas behind the certificate is to give every learner, regardless of her current knowledge or future expectations in the space, to give everyone a firm foundation in FinTech. That means understanding what are the key technologies. And we're not going to get technical for the introductory course, but this is a very solid introduction about the technology. So learn about those technologies. And then having an understanding, we can talk about something really interesting, like blockchain is fascinating. It's truly fascinating.
Fascinating, or you get lost in a maze.
Right. But then understanding, what it is conceptually, but then how is it applied? And the course that we're releasing very soon showcases some of the classic industries where FinTech is embraced. Financial services and banking, that's obvious. And those spaces are very exciting. But we're also showcasing industries that are not intuitive. For example, professional sports is really engaged with FinTech. And you may not think that at first blush. Insurance, real estate, supply chain. So these are areas that give the learner from any age, any perspective, understanding of the prevalence of FinTech and what its potential is and why it's important for strategy, operations, looking to the future, et cetera.
Okay.
Michael, you've started talking about this, but I'm hoping you can dive deeper into what do you think FinTech means for the future of the finance industry?
Great. So FinTech is the future. And that sounds like a cliche, quick reaction, but it really is the future. For many decades now, young graduates, and sometimes not so young, they're coming out of our institutes of higher learning. If they've specialized in finance, they've had to embrace greater levels of technological knowledge, platforms, the sort of tools that finance professionals use on a daily basis. That goes for accounting as well. These days, it is, for lack of better terms, table stakes. You cannot graduate and go and start a career in a classic sense, not understanding technology and finance. So for finance, really that cutting edge, I think about what is needed by this industry. They're looking for innovation. They're looking for competitive positioning, looking for efficiencies, looking for all those things that make companies great. So the finance professional must come in with these tools and skills and understandings to really help these organizations advance and in some cases leapfrog ahead. I'll give you a quick side story. We're working with community organizations, traditional in the banking sector, and they are doing a remarkable job leapfrogging ahead of some very large organizations in that category because they're embracing FinTech. So these are the sort of top of mind interests for the employer. So for students, this is the future. Technology is here to stay. And in aspects of FinTech, I promise you this. What we're talking about today will be quite different in 12 months because of the rapid change, the innovation that is absolutely central to FinTech.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And all I can think about is how students need to jump in. And a great way to do that would be an internship. So they have not just the knowledge and skills from the classroom, but growing their knowledge and skill set from an internship opportunity where they're seeing those innovations happen, those strategies, the process. Yeah. So you're going to.
Can I jump in? That's a great point, Joe. So really, this is one of the hallmarks of a high quality business education. And it has been this way for decades. It's experiential learning, project-based learning, allowing students the opportunity to engage with professionals in the field.
Right.
And within that synapse, that gap, great learning takes place. There's leadership development, whole person learning, but it's a chance for a student to test theory and practice with professionals, and for our corporate partners to have a chance to see our amazing student talent early and think about, gosh, I would like to hire this student as an intern or as part of a project we're working on. So that's something that MUMA College of Business does exceptionally well. The Tiedemann School of Business and Finance, which really focuses on our financial prowess, is a wonderful area for us to experiment in this way, putting our best and all of our students in front of the corporate community. But that is something that all students should lean into and take full advantage of, because in a few short years or months, they're going to be out interviewing. And quite frankly, the interview process starts earlier and earlier, because these companies that come to campus are looking at you, the student, and they're thinking about, gosh, would you be a fit in my organization? The answer is usually yes. So start that process early.
I think about my internship and the exposure I had. And I mean, sometimes they go well, sometimes not so well, but either way you learn. And just not always having a rubric to be graded on, having to figure some things out. It really pushes students to think on their feet, these internships in a sense. So anyway, I'm just, reminiscing. All right. Circling back, following up from Ashley's question about FinTech, the impact of the future. How does Tampa Bay stack up in the world of FinTech?
Tampa Bay is remarkable. And I'm not just saying that because of appropriate biases, but Tampa Bay is in a very unique historical place. And as a bit of a lead in, I started to realize this when I became the inaugural director of the FinTech Center here at USF. I started speaking with professionals in the field and learning about the perception of Tampa Bay, why they were operating here, why they were moving their organizations here. So Tampa Bay stacks up very, very well. It has been recognized by a number of well-known press outlets as a technological hub. It's emerging rapidly. It's known for its innovation ecosystem and its collaborative nature. One quick side story, a business leader from Silicon Valley recently transitioned to Tampa Bay. And the driving point was that in Silicon Valley, which is sort of a 2.0, it's a little bit, with all due respect, it had its day on some levels, not for FinTech. There are entrepreneurs like this person moving here because of the engagement opportunity, the chance to engage with an R1 Carnegie classified university like USF, that is the fastest rising public, AAU, within an amazing community like Tampa Bay, St. Pete, and Tampa. For these people, it is a remarkable competitive advantage. Engagement of talent and partnerships and collaborations. In many ways, it has become a very attractive, competitive place to relocate, even more than Austin, the Northeast, and parts of California. So Tampa Bay is keeping up very well. I'd also add that in the last couple of years, we've all experienced a pandemic. And people were either moving around or not moving around, but there were some migratory patterns that emerged. Now we're seeing, I want to say post-pandemic, I hope I'm accurate in saying that, we're seeing some equalization of some of the movements of populations. Florida has continued to recruit and attract businesses and individuals. So we're in a very good place right now. Historically, Tampa Bay is the place to be. If you're learning about FinTech, if you're working within technology and finance, this is a remarkable home to be.
Yeah, literally, it was just on the news this morning about housing affordability, but also the migration, so the patterns and such. Anyway.
Yeah. So as we talk about Tampa Bay, now more specifically, how do you feel that the Tiedemann School of Business and Finance FinTech Center is positioned to be a leader in the industry?
Great. So the Tiedemann School, what I go to right away is Tiedemann and Ellen Cotton. Tiedemann and Ellen Cotton are two amazing business people, extremely successful, some of the smartest people that I've ever met. They recognize the power of FinTech and what it means, that it's not just a trend, That's a permanent shift. It's here to stay. And from their perspectives, as I've learned, they really want to help develop a new generation of leaders that are going to really break new ground in terms of fintech and business. And they've supported the FinTech Center, the launch of the FinTech Center, which is almost 2 years old. But the K. Tiedemann School is remarkable. It's part of the Mumma College of Business, 6 schools within the Mumma College of Business. So it's a very large, dynamic, robust tapestry, if you will, for engagement. And our focus in becoming a hub of excellence in fintech teaching, research, engagement, innovation is a defensible claim. And the vision is defensible because of the support of Kate and Ellen. And we couldn't be more grateful. But their focus and their commitment is going to allow us to create and develop leaders that are going to have a significant impact, not just in finance, not just in business, but in society. So that's why the FinTech Center, our amazing faculty, and all that we have going for us at Mumma and USF is really going to be a special dynamic in making this a promise to our students.
Absolutely. Michael, as a follow-up to that, how do you think our FinTech Center differs or will differ from other FinTech centers that are out there right now?
That's a super question, Ashley. So in our initial market research, we scanned the market, and there are FinTech centers out there. There are a lot of fintech programs, degree programs. Some are coming in with a very technical perspective, and that's fine. That's not our approach. We're taking more of a finance-based approach. But the centers out there, there are very few that I can find that are setting out on a robust, dynamic, bold vision like this to become a hub of excellence in fintech teaching, research, engagement, and innovation. Again, I see more of a thin slice approach, and I want to be respectful of those missions of those universities and colleges. But at the K. Tiedemann School and Mumma College of Business, we're taking a very bold view. So we have, to get to your question, a full portfolio of opportunity for our students that is on tap. We've talked about degrees. We have a free, it'll be for a brief time free certificate program. So get in early is my point. We've got budding engagement opportunities for internships, mentoring with corporate executives, a lot of opportunity to be involved. And that's going to be scaling now that my colleague, Cassie Patatinas is here. We're really doing some dynamic things in that regard to build our structure. But our center differs because we are a full spectrum offering, not just, with all due respect, a degree program, which is good, but we're everything.
That's exciting. This is awesome.
Yeah, I see the opportunities for our students, and that's always at the forefront with USF, truly. This is a fun question, I feel like, for our audience listeners, what are some trends that we should be on the lookout?
Trends. So what's interesting about trends is they're happening quickly and they're emerging fast. Ironically, one of the most interesting developments within fintech, we're now talking, 2 years ago was cryptocurrency. Everyone's talking about cryptocurrency.
Oh, yeah.
It was a dinner table conversation. It's still relevant. It's still very important. It hasn't gone away. We can talk about that later if you like. But one of the trends now is how fintech is interfacing with AI and machine learning. That it is a bold new future. We've seen what AI can do with ChatGPT and what's happening in the classroom. Our faculty are wise. They're embracing that and working with that tool with our students. It's brilliant. But that same possibility exists with AI and fintech. AI has, speaking of trends, the ability to scan enormous volumes of data in the blink of an eye and recognize trends that are relevant, but also project forward in very meaningful ways. So this is a trend that I think we should watch. You'll be hearing about it every day. You read the news. You'll be hearing about AI and how it's impacting the way that we invest, the way we shop, the chatbot that we speak with, that animated AI-driven customer service chatbot is AI-driven, and that mechanism is helping provide really good customer service in some cases. So these trends, I think it's a trend of AI. It's a trend of embedded finance. So when you think about embedded finance and your favorite app, you bring your smartphone out, and your app may or may not be a finance app, but there are usually financial components with the app. So that's embedded finance. Ultimately, it is being able to transact, get some kind of credit or loan through an entity that's not a bank. That's DeFi. That's decentralized finance. So trends are embedded finance. It's AI. I would definitely see what's happening in the consumer space, and as organizations use AI to better understand customer preferences. It's almost spooky, but they can be very real, very accurate in determining what your preferences are based on a few data points. So watch that as well.
Yeah. I don't want to go to one of those theories, conspiracy theories, but I'm legit. I'm thinking, how do students, in some ways it is frightening, but also knowing that we're developing and leading in this field in order to not be kind of like taken over by AI, but rather embracing and utilizing it as the tool it should be. This is where our students have an opportunity, a unique opportunity, really, with our FinTech Center and everything that it brings to, and the certificate, the learning, those types of avenues to not be kind of hit by that wave, I guess, of technology.
That's a great point. There are two ways. Well, there are more than two ways to look at this.
Right.
So one is technology's here, and it's really impossible to sidestep or avoid technology unless you want to live in a cave somewhere or be a complete hermit, and that's fine. But the modern thinking on this is that it is here, and these technologies do need regulation. There's an ethical side of this discussion that is very, very important. We saw it come into focus during the cryptocurrency tulip mania of 2 years ago, which then the market has corrected. But a lot of people lost a lot of money in some cases. So there's a lot of their ethics come into play. But the leading thought is that these technologies are permanent. They're here to stay, and they're evolving quickly. There's a wonderful piece by the president of Northeastern University, Joseph Aoun, wrote a book called Robot Proof. It's a really nice take on the fact that these technologies aren't going to eliminate human potential and take away what you're doing in your job. You as a human have a chance to use these as tools and actually rise up and become more effective in your work.
Thank you.
Now, there are going to be a few jobs that might get taken away by automation. That's been happening for years.
Right. But
it's not this draconian dystopia of people not working anymore. It's actually using these tools, as we've done for many, many years, to advance in our work and have a positive impact for organizations, ourselves, and society.
Yeah. You did a better phrasing of that. Basically, build your portfolio so that you're on top of the tech, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Well put.
Yeah. Michael, I just have to say, you have been a wealth of knowledge. I feel like I've learned a lot from our conversation. So as we wrap up our FinTech questions, one of the things our podcast focuses on is leadership. And I'm thinking if there are students out there who are listening or watching right now who are thinking, how do I one day become the director of a FinTech Center or something like that, right? My question to you is, as you look back on your personal and professional journey, have there been specific resources that have been valuable to you, whether that's mentorship or books or something else, that you feel have propelled you to where you are today?
Thank you. It's a wonderful question. I actually, mentors are a gift. And I've had some amazing mentors in my journey. And for anyone to say that they've ended up where they are today alone is completely false, because we're all part of a community and ecosystem and networks. But I learned early on from one of my close mentors, who's a friend to this day, and he's in his 80s now. He's smarter than he's ever been. Talked a lot about never lose your curiosity. And when you feel comfortable in whatever you're doing, whether it's a class, whether it's a position, that's a warning signal if you feel comfortable. So always push yourself. Embrace those moments that make you uncomfortable. There's a chances to learn. So remain curious, push yourself, and try to impact others. When you make your journey not about yourself, great things can happen. In education, that's more natural, but in corporate life and life in general, the more we focus on others and not so much yourself is a really nice way to be a leader. So I'm a servant leader. That's why I say that. So lead with head and heart and make a difference.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And it still ties in. I'm doing shameless plugs for internships, because when you take that risk to even interview, to apply, that is going to give you that opportunity, push you out of that comfort zone, take some risks, volunteer. These are ways to give back and learn and grow.
Events.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right? Anything that scares you, push yourself to do it.
Just do it. Okay.
Don't be afraid.
All right. Thanks for ending on that. This is a nice note. So that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Getting Down to Business. Follow us, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Am I leaving anything out?
No.
See you next time.